Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. When I was young, the information age was just crowning its head. Not quite born, but we were all told by our teachers, oh, the new jobs are going to be in the service economy, in information technology. And while the information technology jobs did appear, most of the people I went to school with and people that I knew in other places didn't choose to do that for a living. They got into an accounting position, for example, which is, information technology of a certain degree, but all the world was changing. And soon it became clear that a lot of people that were taking a lot of classes, GAS class, General Arts and Sciences, which was basically for people who wanted to be in college or university but didn't know what they wanted to do. Yeah, you're paying for a year of college or university just to, do some English courses, some math courses, and whatever else they had on the optional list. That wasn't me. I was into computer programming. But you know what? After I graduated, I found out the job was really not for me. I got thrown into the deep end on a computer project that was, first of all, what do you call it? The code was written in French, which, yeah, I could translate and figure things out. And I'd never seen it before. And at the end of the day, they came to me and said, "Have you diagnosed the problem?" I'm like, "Yeah, I figured out what's wrong. This entire procedure is missing." And I forget what the procedure was supposed to do. And then they asked me, "Can you program that?" I'm like, "Not unless you give me like a month or so to program or to learn this language." And I realized that would be the rest of my life, poking around in something somebody else had put together and trying to figure out what was wrong with it. So I did the whole school and job thing for a while and eventually found other jobs through that. But that was back then. Then the clock struck, the year 2000 came out, and that's when things really started to change. See, all through the 1990s, they were all talking about downsizing and right sizing. And for the most part, it was good for companies. It was probably good for employees. There were far too many people who were sitting there, and when you signed a document, there were 5 copies. Copy 4 had to go to Ed on the third floor, and Ed would put his official stamp on it, photocopy it, and put both copies into his folder. There was a heck of a lot of that in the 80s and 90s. Heck, one of the women I dated towards the mid 90s was part of a secretarial pool. It was a law firm, it was a fairly big one, but you'd have a hard job finding a secretarial pool anywheres today. Now, today, you'd go on Etsy, you'd go on Facebook Marketplace, you'd go on any one of these and say, "I need this stuff typed up and I'm willing to pay X." And a person would take care of it. And I realized that's where a lot of the jobs have gone. They've gone to the gig economy. We never really got that big information technology boom aside from, you know, developers and upstarts and stuff like that that all opened and collapsed within a matter of a couple of years. But what did stay, Uber Eats, Instacart, DoorDash, places like that. And that's when it hit me. We're not in the gig economy. We're in the tip economy. For the record, let me make this clear. Silverlight does not oppose tips. But, and this is a big but, it's being foisted on us. And if I'm paying a service fee in order to have something delivered, that should be the price for it to be delivered. Again, 20 years dealing in transportation, when I quoted a price, that was the price, and if it changed, I would have to get the customer's permission. There was one person who would give cash payouts to the drivers, and that's because the driver had a quiet deal with him that he would pick up his skids special, and you know, they had their little deal going on. Fantastic. I got no problem with somebody making extra money on the side. Again, I'm not anti-tip. But your DoorDash, your Uber, all these people, they're getting paid nothing for the job that they're doing, which is pick up person from place A and take them to place B. They're hoping for that tip. I screw around with skip the dishes all the time, mostly because I like to see who's open and who's closed on a holiday to see what we just had Family Day up here. I understand was it Veterans Day down south? Whatever your holiday was. And you know what? It's just me and the kid, and okay, she loves chicken McNuggets. I can always find something to eat. What the heck? So got a chicken McNuggets and a burger, whatever the heck I got. They charged me $20, $8 for delivery, and then they expected me to leave a minimum 12% tip. Yeah, not 10, 12. Now you can overwrite this and everything, and I did because I knew at the time traffic was low. They're literally across the road from me, and I just didn't want to go there because I avoid holiday traffic. It's just a habit I've developed over the years. Yes, I could have gotten it, but once you put your foot in the pond, that's the way that you're going to go. But while I was waiting for my magic hamburger and magic chicken McNuggets, I started to realize that these people have been given the raw deal of the information economy. This is about as close to slavery as one can get in the modern age. You're being paid piecework. Again, I don't really have a problem with that, provided they're giving you a reasonable piecework rate. I've never driven for them, but given that they're charging roughly $6 to $8 for administration, that means the driver's making somewhere between $3 and $4 to do the actual work, to do the service that the app is actually claiming to provide. Because these guys are all not on union contracts. These are, straight piecework contracts. Gone is the day where if you got into the health industry or something, you'd be protected. I had a disagreement with somebody who said, oh yeah, the TDC, the hospitals, those are all union jobs. Oh, airport handling. No, they're not. I know that because I was trying to be an airport handler when I was much younger. And they didn't hire me. I bear them no ill will because they have their quotas and they were advertising all the time. Maybe that was just not a time that they were hiring. But the same token, I know that was not a union job. And the TDC, okay, log on to the website. The funny part is the temporary office person who's getting like 4 to 8 hours a week is covered by a union, and a pretty big one. The mechanical people, the painters, the mechanics, the welder stuff, people who are in harm's way do not have a union. And they're kind enough to list which union you're going to be right on the job application. I know 4 PSWs in hospitals, and I can tell you they do not get any sort of union representation. A nurse, mostly. But there's even ways around that. See, what the person who I talk with and myself, what they don't know, is I've been in lots of places that are part union and part temporary. And it's a real challenge to keep that because your union employees are your employees. You got to look after them. Whereas the temporary ones, they're temporary. You can have 20 today, one tomorrow. That's just the nature of the job when you're temporary. But they're 30 years older than me, so they haven't worked since 2007. And that's not an indictment about them, but I'm just saying things have changed, and they're unwilling to accept that. Well, of course things have changed. There was no delivery services the way that they exist at the present time. Heck no. If you wanted to get yourself a Burger King, whatever, you had to get in your car and go get it. At least the one thing I will give this gig economy is it is designed to take pressure off you. It's designed for convenience. So that if, for example, a buddy of mine comes over and I'm there and we want to we've been drinking a little bit and we want something that isn't pizza, we can get it. That's a convenience. But when you're employing people at the minimum rate you possibly can to drive, so they're running a car, theoretically they're paying insurance on that car because you can't get they don't use stickers anymore, but you can't get a registration without insurance. And they're trying to do that. Let's just say they're doing 4 stops an hour. Remember I just said that they were getting about $3 to $4 a delivery? Right. So they're making about $12 an hour. As a guess, feel free to correct me down below. Because Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that have to take their pound of flesh. And I'm not blaming them for it because they got to pay operators that understand the area, that are willing to take the calls, and they have to be somewhat good at their jobs. Also, their management needs to have their incentive and bonuses. So when I'm guessing $3 to $4 a delivery, and I'm just a couple kilometer delivery, for whatever reason you cannot or will not go out. Bad snowstorm. Well, actually, there's a bad snowstorm. I would tip them more. But you see, this is what happened. We were promised high-paying jobs in information technology in the information age. What we are getting is gig jobs for tips in the information age. Manufacturing, it does exist, but these drivers, and I've spoken to them before, some of them don't believe that they can be unionized. Yeah, you can. You call it a professional association. It's the same thing. It's just called something different. None of them are opposed to the idea. They're just saying, no, we can't be. Oh, that's completely false. And when the day comes where the Uber Eats people, the DoorDash people, the Instacart people stand together and demand higher wages, it will be interesting. Of all the things for the chime to go off at. Higher wages. But yeah, that will be a good day. But we've been taught for so long that unions are bad and corrupt like that. I'm afraid we've brainwashed ourselves to the point where we can't use the one power we have as workers, collective bargaining. And it's a power we need right now. The gig economy is not going to stop. There's enough people out there that want a temporary service, and this is not new. Temporary people have been around since forever. And there's also some things that you simply can't build a company off of. Specialized 3D printed ornaments. I'm going to pick on that because I used to do this myself, and I know a lot of people who do it themselves. Now, to deliver that, you're not going to bring in a trekking company. You know, put a straight truck in your driveway and put a box in it the size of a top hat. It's going to get lost. Somebody will put it on top of something else, and wherever that something else is going, it's going to get there. They're going to realize, oh, this little box doesn't belong with it. They'll put it coming back, and it's going to go wherever that skid is going. It's one of those things you can't win. So the gig economy does actually have benefits to it. But the people it's supposed to benefit, the workers, it's not. It's kind of a situation of last resort. I have a car, I need money. I need to do something because my family's hungry, I need to pay my rent, etc., etc. I'm not trying to bash these people here, not in the least. But I'm saying they're getting a raw deal. The future promised to us was not come on with us and work 8 hours at a regular job and then your time off, work for us, and just then you may be able to afford rent. If everybody in this place is working, it might happen. I don't know what future was in people's heads, but it certainly is not what we got. So, tips. Sadly, if you're going to order, you got to realize that you got to put something in there because the driver is unfortunately barely scraping by, and they would love to have you pick up the tab for them paying their drivers. I'd love it if somebody else was going to finance me a hot dog stand and staff it and everything, and in return I got money. Hell yeah, sign me up. What kind of person would not accept that argument? But the person at the hot dog stand who's getting paid, I don't know what minimum wage is anymore, I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to say it's $15 for the sake of argument. They're getting $15. They're out there in the snow, the rain, the sleet, the mean customers and stuff like that. It's not so much fun for them. I've been through all those, and nobody was giving me a tip. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't get tips. I'm saying we need to work in a better base rate. I would rather pay up front than somebody who's having a bad day, whatever it is, and maybe whoever they're delivering to, their finances aren't that great. I mean, what's the driver to do? Most people are getting no contact delivery, and I'm only judging that off of what I see. I don't see people approaching the door much more, except pizza people, and they have stories that will just make your teeth bleed. Whereas at least, the Uber, the DoorDash, all those people, you pay in advance, and that's the one thing I like about the gig economy is it's taking care of all those poor drivers that got stiffed for, I don't know, decades? How long has pizza delivery been going on? The model can work, but it's not working, and it's doing that on purpose. So remember, the gig economy has changed. It's actually viable, but how can I say this politely? They're still going to mess people over wherever they can so they can make an extra penny, 2 pennies. That's just the way capitalism works. So just try to remember all those factors next time that you're ordering anything. And yeah, no one's going to magically give anybody money. We have to arrange that ourselves. But you drivers out there, you've got to do it for yourself as well. I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face, but you represent yourself. The more people you get on with you to represent you, the better chance you have of getting a decent wage. And you know what? Maybe that burger and that chicken McNuggets goes up to $35. Maybe that's the way things have to go to balance it so that workers are being paid properly. I accept the delivery fee. I understand it exists. And I think anybody rational would do the exact same thing. But I'll leave that up to you. If you're happy making nothing and you're happy just to not get involved, well, we're not going to get anywhere as a society. So with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, because sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you did, thank you. Don't forget to click the bell icon down below so you can be notified every time a new episode comes out. We hope you have a fantastic day.